Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of this podcast. I am really enthusiastic to be joined by my friend Alex. Alex, thanks so much for being here, man.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like a lot of these have the same beginnings. It's like there's a guest, and I always say that I'm happy to have him and that we've been meaning to do this for a while, and now it finally happened. And that's really the case here, man. We've been meaning to do this for a while and finally made it happen. So this is cool.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's yeah, I remember you told me a couple of months back actually. Do you ever have somebody like see them and then just be like, "Yo, can I please come on?" and everything? Or is it usually like you invite someone on or like how many requests do you get? That's what I'm asking.
Thankfully, I do get like a lot of requests and I do ask a lot of people too. So it's like pretty balanced there. But yeah, I'm grateful. It's a lot of people and I'm excited to get to them eventually, you know?
Yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah. I one thing that I think is so interesting about the friendship between you and me is that it really happened naturally. And
Hmm.
I place an emphasis on that because I remember when we first met, it was kind of like it was cold and distant. Just like, hey,
Hmm.
hi, hello. And there wasn't really like we didn't get so close immediately.
Hmm.
It took time before we actually became friends. And I think
Right.
it's really cool because it was just very casual. It
Hmm.
just kind of fit in a way. It wasn't ever forced. Do you have any thoughts on that? On, making friends naturally versus forcing them to happen?
I mean, I think that's the only way to make friends, dude. Like, I think like well, I don't think I've ever had an experience where I like, look for someone and then I'm just kind of thinking like, how can I make this guy my friend? Or how can I make this person my friend? I think most of the time it's just natural. And I think that's like you have to have some kind of like, you know, like natural flowing conversation that'll lead up to like you guys eventually being friends or like just multiple conversations. Because even there's even people that you can talk to like multiple times, like for a while. Like certain coworkers, for example, if you ever have like a job where you just see somebody so often, but after you stop working that job, you just like never reach out to that person or anything like that. I think that would be like a good example of like someone that you, I guess, could make as a friend without it being natural, but it just doesn't really click. It doesn't happen. So I feel like you have to have that, I guess, kind of chemistry with somebody and just kind of have that like interest in wanting to talk to them because I don't know, man. It's like you meet people and sometimes it just doesn't click. Sometimes it does. And like how you said, like with us, it just kind of like was a natural conversation. It was kind of like cold at first, but then I think we just started like getting to know each other and then it was like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. And it's just eventually that's how it led to that. But I think that's yeah. To answer your question, I think so. Yeah, I think it has to be pretty natural. I don't think you can really just jump and like say, okay, this guy's gonna be my friend. You know?
Yeah, it was so funny when I reflect. Like between you and me, it was just so stoic and serious. Like, hey, sup, dude? All right, see ya. You know? What do you think was that catalyst moment when we actually did become friends? I'm curious what you think.
I think so. I think it's when we actually started like asking questions by each other, like, yeah, well, what do you do? Things like that. Like, what's your major? All that. Because I think I think we met each other. I don't know if the first time was when we were doing like tutoring or if it was at the library, but one of those moments I think like was the cold moment where you said it's just kind of like, hey, what's up? It's my name, or whatever. And then I think the other moment was whenever we actually started like, what do you do? Like, like what are you trying to do in the future? Things like that. And just started kind of like getting an interest for each other. I think that led to like an actual conversation versus it just being like, oh, like how was class for you today? Things like that. Like how well prepared are you for the exam? You started asking like real questions, not just like those, conversation starters and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd have a similar opinion. I think it was when we were kind of coming to a similar frequency in the things we were thinking about and
Yeah.
discussing. I think that's what it was. Yeah. Have you ever in your life had an experience where you did try to force something? and it just didn't work out for you?
Mm, like relationship wise, like friendships or like, just with people. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever had that experience, but I have had things where I've tried and just didn't work. Like certain, just like regular things that most people do, like trying to pick up a new hobby or, trying to like get like a new schedule set and things like that. I've definitely like I think everybody does that, but I think I think what's crazy is I think the reason for that is like I've tried things that are kind of like unnatural, like that are like so left field of what I'm used to doing that I feel like it always ends up like not working out. Um, but it's never been the case with like relationships or with like people in general. I think usually like I have pretty good friendships and I can bond with people pretty well. Also, like I've never actually like been out looking for like let me try this and like let me try that and like oh no it didn't work out, let me try again. Not the type to do that really. It's just kind of like let things flow. If it works it works, if it doesn't it doesn't. It's like even
Yeah.
with regular things.
You strike me as the kind of guy where you allow things to come to you as opposed to going to them. Would you categorize yourself in the same way?
In a sense, I think there's certain things that you have to go out and get, and I definitely do that. It's just, but yeah, most of the things that I try to do is just I just let things kind of control themselves in a sense. I don't try to like handle things too much at once because it's like not everything's gonna work out. So it's you just kind of let things happen as they go.
And what do you think is the beauty in doing that?
I think you get to appreciate things a little bit more because it's funny because you would think I think you well I don't know, I guess it's just my perspective. You assume that you'd appreciate things a little bit more by like working harder and trying to go out and get something on your own. But in my opinion, I think it's you appreciate it a lot by just letting things come to you because there's so many things that are unexpected that'll just happen that you just are grateful for eventually when they do happen. And it's just like you get to think like that you know it's a good feeling to know that you like are definitely working towards something, but you didn't go above and beyond and do anything crazy and sacrifice everything to get what you got. It kind of just happened because of like certain situations that you surrounded yourself with.
Yeah, I like how you said that. I feel like sometimes when you go above and beyond, that thing that you mentioned, the sacrifice, it's like you
Yeah.
literally, it's almost as if you're operating on an energy level that's just so high that it throws
Mhm.
you off balance in a way, and then it doesn't allow things to come to you naturally.
It messes everything up, dude. Because like, if you have you ever had like such a busy schedule where you just kind of like were, like you had minutes in between of like each thing that you had to do, like not even like a full like 30 minutes or an hour or anything. You had literally like 5 minutes, or like you just had things on top of things on top of things. And like, I'm sure you probably realize how hard it is to keep that schedule because things just happen. So it's like, it's hard to live like like a life where you're just trying to control everything, trying to stay on top of everything, and trying to like just have everything go your way a certain way you need it to. It's just kind of like, certain things will happen. I feel like I do that a lot though. I have like a lot of gaps where I just leave to like figure stuff out. I don't like really when I do my schedules like for the week, I don't put like okay, 1 hour of this, 1 hour of that, 1 hour of this. I just kind of put like 4 whole hours. I know I'm free whether I spend it studying or not studying or doing anything really, like whatever it matters, I know I have those 4 hours free. Because then after that, I have to do this, I have to do that, and everything. So it's like, I think that's a better thing because I don't know. That's just an example of like, yeah, I do try to control things, but also it's like, it's not like a freakish, like, it has to be this exact way. It's like, no, I just, if it happens, good. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself sitting down doing nothing and just staring outside of windows?
Sometimes, I mean, for like seconds, I guess that I get bored too. So usually I try to do something. But yeah, I have sat there and done nothing.
Yeah. Does that do anything for you?
It's a little meditative, but and then it starts to feel like not like a waste of time, I guess, unless I'm actually trying to like get like in a meditative state where I'm just trying to relax. Um, no, it doesn't really do much for me. I kind of just get over it in a few minutes, like or seconds even. I'll just kind of sit there and just think, and then I was like, okay, let me pick up my phone or let me
Yeah.
go.
The way you said it too, you just have that like energy about you that you just kind
Hmm.
of bounce from thing to thing to thing. You're a pretty shredded guy. I'm curious, were you ever unfit?
Was I ever unfit? I'm unfit now, bro.
Really? I wouldn't be able to tell. You're
I'm
pretty shredded
overweight.
to me.
I'm overweight like the
Damn.
rest of us, man.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I was curious to about that because recently I feel like I've been losing some weight and it's been a minute since I've been losing weight. And now that I can kind of see that just a little, it kind of reminds me of who I once was. It's like,
Mm.
wow, I haven't felt like this in a long time. Has something happened to you recently where you're like, wow, I'm reminded of myself?
Well, I mean, on the topic of weight loss, yeah, I started recently eating a little, well, a lot healthier because for the last couple years, like, you know how like just school gets kind of tough and you just kind of get in this like, it's, so I feel like a lot of students in general, or just people who are busy, right? Like, I feel like it's so easy for like your first sacrifice to be food, where you just like stop eating healthy. You're just like, I don't have time to cook these like meals. I don't have time to prepare these recipes, put them in a box, take them to like school and do all this and that. It's just you just always kind of feel like that's like the first like excuse that you always get. It's just like, I'll just go buy something. I'll just go pick something up. I'll just eat it in my car. I'll do that. Save so much time, usually ends up tasting better. I don't have to do dishes and all that. And it's like, it's good to do that some days, I feel like, because sometimes you just don't have the time. But I feel like that's such a like common thing for, I mean, people in America, I guess. I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but like it's just such a common thing because we have so much fast food. So, for the last 2 years, I did that. I was just like, I don't have time. I'm just gonna go and eat this and that. And I gained a lot of weight doing that, because even if you like I still had the same workout schedule kind of, but then I gave that up too. And then it's just this like thing of like just trying to see how much you could sacrifice like for your health just because it's the most like I think it's the easiest thing to do just because you don't want to sacrifice, study time or anything like that because that's something that you'll actually fall behind off. But like if you gain a few pounds, like I did, I was just like, it's whatever, you know. And then you gain more and more weight and you're just like, oh dang, if I stay on this like, what I'm doing now, it's like it's gonna fall so out of control where it's gonna be so hard to bounce back. So recently, I started trying to cut off fast food and it's been working a lot. And then I just started cooking meals and everything again, doing all that. And it feels much better. On top of losing weight, it's just you just feel more energized. You feel like just healthier in a sense. Like you just feel more productive. And then I've been trying to get more sleep too. So like getting more sleep, I feel like it's been working great for me too. So on top
Explain
of
that.
well,
What has that been doing for you? The sleep.
it's just whenever I feel like I focus much better now. And like even so when I wasn't getting enough sleep and I was eating unhealthy, I feel like I would have my moments where I could focus, I could do well and everything, and I feel like I could be productive. But now, like it's crazy. Like I could actually have like 8 hour study sessions where I'm just like just studying, 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 studying with no break. Like just well, like I mean, some break I'll eat and then I'll just get on my phone for a few hours. But like out of those 8 hours, I'll have probably like 6 very productive hours, and it's just like just straight focusing. And it's not like I'm over caffeinated or anything like that. It's just I feel like I ate very well. Like I had great sleep the night before, and then it just gives me a much more productive day just because like you get to focus a lot more. And I don't know, I guess, and I don't know all the nutrition of it. I don't know if it's genuinely like, because I think we hear it all the time. And like, I know it is true that you do have more energy and, you can focus better when you eat healthier meals and all that. But I mean, it's been making a difference for me. So maybe it's true because I don't know. Because I don't know about you, but when you eat like a burger and some fries and then you had no sleep the night before, you might crash after you eat that burger. You not might feel like you get unmotivated. You just don't want to do anything the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And there's just
I
doing that every day is crazy, man. I feel like
yeah.
some people just, I mean, they feel like they don't have the choice, they don't have the option. But I think, it's always good to incorporate it. Right now, I've been trying to get a little bit more into working out, though. That's the only thing. It's like I feel like I haven't found the time to go work out, but I'll get it eventually. Why not?
Yeah. I started like I ate a bag of chips the other day,
Hmm.
and just after a couple of chips, I was like, wow, this tastes horrible because I had been away from that for so long.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting what happens when you distance yourself from those things. It kind of recalibrates you in a way. The
Yeah,
things, yeah, the things you were talking about were making me think about the concept of sacrifice. Do you think sacrifice is connected to gratitude?
I think it can be. I think it is a lot, often, but I don't think it needs to be. I think I think like having gratitude for something doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like give something up. I feel like you can have a lot and be grateful without having to give anything up. Because I mean we do that all the time, we don't sacrifice for when our parents do stuff for us, and we're grateful for our parents, and we don't sacrifice when we like build great relationships, and like we didn't have to give anything up for that, and we could still be grateful for those things. But I think sometimes it does require a little bit of sacrifice to be grateful for something, especially like like using weight loss as an analogy. I feel like that's an easy one. You have to sacrifice like eating, maybe take tastier meals, and sacrifice a bit of your time to go work out. But at the end of the day, once you see like the progress that you've made and the healthier lifestyle that you've built, you're much more grateful for that. But I don't think it needs to be. I don't know. What do you think?
It's something I've been curious about because as of recently, gratitude is a concept that I'm really interested in. I think I was listening to someone and they were talking about how when you have gratitude, you get contentment for it.
Hmm.
You might not necessarily get happiness for it, but you get contentment. And contentment is greater than happiness. And I really pondered on that. And I think there's truth to that. So I've just been really interested in the concept of gratitude. And yeah, like, does it require sacrifice? I don't know.
Do you think?
I'm just
Do you think
curious.
it's better to be content than happy?
I think in my experience, yeah, because happiness, I realize again and again and again, it's so short-lived. So short-lived. But what do you think?
That's a good point. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, I think I agree with you because, yeah, you're right. Being happy is kind of just I think it's an overwhelming amount of contentment is what happiness
Hmm.
might be. And it's just like it's not sustainable. Maybe, yeah, I think you're right. And I think being content is nice because, you can be content about, just your situation and everything that you're in and just be like, I like my life. I love my life. It's been great. And I think that's, falls in line with contentment. But I think happiness is something that you're just smiling for no reason. You have like great like feeling and everything. And it's like that's not always sustainable. You're right. I think, yeah, never seen it that way.
And
But it
I love your energy for this reason because I feel like anytime I'm like in your vicinity, in your presence, you give off that energy of
makes,
contentment. It's like that thing I was talking about, the stoic seriousness. It's more
yeah.
contentment. It's more like cool, like it's like on par, it's balanced, and that's the cool thing. I feel like it's contentment. Do you think that's what it is for you? If you
I think
ponder
so.
on that.
And I think I think you're right, bro. I have nothing to complain about. I even when I have my bad moments, it's not much to complain about. Even when I'm having a bad
Yes.
day, like for what? Like what's the point of keeping it bad or anything like that? Don't get me wrong, I get in my bad moods, like I think everybody does, but I think generally I've always been a pretty content person. Like I love my life. I've never complained about it. I've never like said, I wish things were different. Like I am genuinely just pretty good, man. You know?
Was that something innate for you, or is that something you had to learn?
No, I think it's something innate for me. I've always been like that. Like even as a
Oh.
kid or and like growing up and even now, I think it's always been like that. I've always been this like I've always been very optimistic, but not to the point where, I think what it is I've always been like kind of in the middle ground of being optimistic and realistic. Like so I've always seen the the realism of things. I've always been like, I get this. This is the way things are, but I've never thought, why are things this way? Like it sucks, like why can't things be different? Thing everything. I've always thought the opposite and thought, I can't change the way things are, but maybe it's not so bad, you know. And I think that's might be what it is because I've always been pretty optimistic and pretty like serious when it came to like just not worrying about things too much, just kind of let things happen.
How do you think people get lassoed into complaining?
I don't know, man. I think it's also like an innate thing. I think just some people are just like genuinely like I I feel like I feel like it's hard to really appreciate things sometimes, and I think it's something innate that people have that they just don't like really appreciate the small things that they have, or maybe it's just not for them, and just certain things don't work out, and all that just builds up to where I feel like they feel like nothing's going right. But I feel like there's always like a perspective you can have, but I mean that's case by case, right? Because there are a lot of people who just genuinely like if you listen to their story, it's just kind of like, okay, I see why you're complaining. Like that sucks, like
Yeah,
like. But I think for those who shouldn't be, I feel like, well, I guess shouldn't be is kind of like a subjective thing because we're not living their lives. But I mean,
yeah,
I feel like when the way you're saying it is like I feel like for people that do complain a lot, um, I think it's just like a mix of like them just having that trait of like not being able to really like process things in a positive way or just genuinely having a lot on their plate.
yeah.
But
I
who
like how you
doesn't,
said
huh?
that. I like how you said that because you're right. We can't strap the label of judgment on a person's
Yeah,
circumstance.
yeah.
But by that same token, what I think is so interesting is how gratitude relates to all this because in that sense, it's like an ideal to strive for, where even if you do have a heavy plate, that you don't complain. It's like something to strive for. Not everybody can get there, but it's a beautiful thing if you do. I'm curious for you, what is your take on expectations? And what do you do when if you have an expectation and it fails?
I mean, there's only one other thing you can do. You just try again.
Mm.
I think
When
I
do you
think
think
that's what I think, man. I think there's always like an opportunity to try again. So I mean, if you
really?
expectation, what's that?
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I was just saying, really, that you think there's opportunities to always try again.
Always, yeah. So I think like we all have expectations. I feel like so you're not always gonna be able to meet that goal, and it happens all of the time. And you can really use that like metaphor for everything. Like it's a metaphor for life even. Like we all have expectations that we need to meet, and if you don't meet them, there's no point in like just complaining and dwelling on it and thinking, this sucks. It didn't go my way. You just try again, because I feel like there's always going to be an opportunity to try again, no matter how like crazy I feel like you fell short. I feel like there's always going to be an opportunity to try again, even if it's a very rare like occasion where it was like you might have felt like it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's the thing. It really isn't.
Why do you think we need to meet expectations?
I mean, there's just goals, man. Everybody has goals for themselves, and people put goals on other people, and it's just, I think that's just a way of life that we have, in our society. I feel like we have expectations that we need to meet, and just in general, like this meeting, for example, like it's an expectation that you had of me to be here and do this because I had told you, it's not if you think about it, like it's not a bad thing at all. It's a very simple thing where like it's an expectation that you have of somebody. You expect them to follow through with that. If not, it's not it's not so nice of them and things like that. It's just we all have expectations that we need to meet, and sometimes people fall short. Just kind of like how I did yesterday. It happens.
It happens, yeah. Yeah, no,
It
it's all
happens.
cool, man. But you're so right. Yeah, it does really happen. Have you fallen short of expectations so badly that you felt like you couldn't get out of it?
Yeah, 100%.
Damn. And but here you are. So how did you get out of it? If you don't mind me asking.
Just try it again.
Just try it again. That's it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, just try again isn't really such a like it's not always do that exact same thing because you can't just do the exact same thing over and over again. But when you try again, it's simply just giving effort again. It's not like you have to do that exact thing the exact way that you planned on doing it and meet that exact goal. But it just means that you didn't just keep that with you and think, I can never do that. You took that and you thought, I can do something, but maybe I'll do something a little bit different and set a different goal. But that's what I mean. It's like you fall short, but you don't take that with you, and then you don't label yourself as like, oh, I've tried that and I know I can't do it. You instead you take it and you're like, I fell short, but I know if I try again, I can do better at least. Because yeah, there's some things that you set goals for yourself that are sometimes unrealistic, and yeah, they won't happen. But it's just that's not an excuse to not do anything.
Are you your own hero?
No, my mom
No.
is. My mom's awesome.
Interesting. Nice. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what is it about your mom that makes her your hero?
She's just always there, man. I feel like I mean, it's always going to be a biased thing. I think when someone says this, but I feel like my mom's just always there, man. I think like it's just she's never like fell short. I feel like, and it's the most simple things too. Like I feel like I ask for too much sometimes, and like she'll always find a way. Even though she'll make jokes and she'll complain and like just genuinely like be frustrated about some things that I ask of her and everything, and then but she'll always just do it, even if it's angry. You know what I mean? Like how like parents will like do something angry, but they'll still do it for you kind of.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, that's why I feel like my mom's always been like that, like driven person where she'll follow through. She knows like she'll take something and she'll like express her emotions, but she knows like ultimately what she wants to do. So she'll do it like in an angry manner, but she'll get it done. And I just always admire that about her, man. My mom is just like, she's just a person that gets things done, and then she works too hard a lot, so like all the time. So she's just always, I'm tired. I'm like doing this. And, she's like, but, I'll talk to you about it later. And she'll go and do something, and it's like, I'm like, dang, how do you do that? Like, how do you just not go home and just sit there and like, relax for a bit, just don't do anything. It's just not like that, man. She's just always been like on top of like everything and just trying, just keep going. And I feel like that's where I get a lot of my positive attitude, even though I don't think she's the most positive person in the world.
Wow. That's really cool. And I
I mean, she
like
is
that.
very positive. I mean, I don't, yeah, she is. It's just, she's very sassy. That's the only thing.
Yeah, you said she knows what she wants to do and she does it. I think that's really cool. Do you think that's like a core characteristic that allows her to be that way?
I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. So I think she kind of put that value in us, like me and my siblings, where I feel like there's never like a goal too small. I think we find something that we're interested in and we think, we don't think that we can't do it. We know we can. We just a matter of like whether it matters to us enough to want to do that.
Do you think we can ever become our own heroes?
I think so. I think it's possible. I mean, a lot of people just don't have anybody else out there, and you just got to rely on yourself. And I mean, I think we all are in a sense. I think we all are own heroes because when you think about it this way, you are the reason that you feel good in the mornings. You are the reason that you feel bad. You are the reason that you get anything done in life. It's like so you have to be, grateful for the person that you are and the way that you think. And I think that's kind of falls into that. I think we all have to be our own hero in a sense, but I think the way that you phrased it, it's not so much like that. You just when you say somebody's your hero, I think you're saying like you owe so much to them that you could never repay what they've done for you. Um, and
Oh,
I feel like
that's deep.
yeah, I feel like for us, we can repay ourselves. We can give ourselves some time to relax. We can let our emotions out a bit, and that's a method of doing that. But when someone's a hero, that's what that means, man. Like think about it like in a comic book sense. If someone saved you from a falling building, you can't repay someone for that. So it's the same thing. It's like our like my mom, for example. Like there's nothing I can do for her that would ever repay all that she's done for me. Like even if I like you know I don't know. Like there's really I can't think of anything. Even like I'm trying to think materialistic, but I know that's like like bottom of the barrel. That's like the least you can do for someone is buy someone for them, something for them. But like, I don't know, there's nothing I can say to her or amount of time that I can do. And just, I don't know. In my opinion, I think like for her, obviously, I think she appreciates like everything to do, like when we go eat together and things like that. But yeah, I don't think it's like something you can repay. It's just like a debt that you'll never be able to pay back.
Yeah. Just randomly, it's making me think about Theseus and the Minotaur in Greek mythology. And it's just like if he kills the Minotaur, for the people, they really can't repay that because like none of them could kill the Minotaur. Only he could.
And
He
what are they?
did
Yeah,
what none of them
exactly.
could do. So they literally cannot repay them. That's so interesting. And I was talking to a friend recently, and we were just talking about people that have moved on to death. And he was saying how, like say they're your heroes, the way you could pay tribute to them is to live your life,
Mhm.
find your own avenue to take,
Yeah.
do what you can do. I think that was also another interesting thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a really like I think that's a fact, man. I think you have to do that. Like, I think that's the only way you can really repay someone when they do something for you is by like, you know, taking advantage of what they did for you in a good way and like being grateful for it. Just because like if someone genuinely like did something, because they cared or because they just really were trying to help you out, I think the best way to pay them back is by like giving your effort and making sure you actually fully like, you know, take advantage of what they did. Because I feel like if someone does something for you and you just like forget about it or change your mind and you're just like, oh, I did need that at the time, but I kind of didn't really care anymore. It's like I feel like that's not the best thing is because someone did something for you and they actually did it because they cared and you just kind of forgot about it. Like you got to follow through at that point.
Yeah. For you, do you think of yourself as a selfless person? And if so, where do you no?
Not at all.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
do I do mostly everything out of my own self interest most of the time. It's hard to
Yeah.
be selfless.
We all do, right?
It's so hard to be selfless because even the other day, like yesterday, I jump started someone's car. If you think about it, I didn't really do that because he like needed help. I mean, I did, right? Like like he didn't ask for help. I was just like, hey man, like you good? Like you need a jump start? I got you. Like I did that just because like it gives me a good feeling. Like I like helping people. So like I ultimately did that for myself. Like if I would have gone home, I would have felt bad, and that's something that I was like, I don't want to feel bad. I don't like feeling bad. Like I like helping people. So at the end of the day, I still did that for myself. And some people would consider that a selfless act because they would have categorized like, oh, the time that is spent to do that. I was already in a rush. I didn't even know this guy's a stranger and like everything like that. You just put all those things in category and you think, oh, you know what, that was a selfless act. But I mean, ultimately it wasn't because I did that because it gave me a good feeling. And I was talking to this with one of my friends the other day, where like I don't think really anything can be selfless. Like I don't think people can genuinely be like just 100% selfless unless you're like I don't know, thinking about like trying to like put like some kind of analogy to it, like I don't know, like a monk, I guess, where like they genuinely just do everything like for that. But even them, it's like I feel like it's all like it's selfish in a way because you're doing this because it's either giving you a good feeling or it's something that you're following through, which is in line with your values. And I think it's hard to like, put selflessness into that. But I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's like people need to be selfish because like it's not a bad thing to be selfish because you can always consider other people in your mind, and still have you as a priority. And I feel like it matters because I feel like that's the only way to continue actually, you know, keeping those values and everything is because if like you're doing stuff and it's giving you a lot of benefit, then you're gonna want to keep doing it.
Yeah. Those are just interesting words, man. Selfish and selfless. And you're
Mhm.
right. It's like they're kind of like a circle, they're spinning around. They're almost
Yeah,
one
and
and the
people
same.
always put such a negative connotation to selfishness, and it's not always bad. It's like, I mean, I think by definition, I think it is a bad word. I think honestly, but I don't know if you think about it that way. It's really not the worst thing. It's like, there's nothing wrong with having yourself as a priority and wanting to benefit. you know, greatly from what you're doing. And like I think you can always put that in a positive light. It's like, you do matter a lot. Everybody does. And it's like, why put yourself beneath anybody else or
Yeah.
beneath anything else?
It reminds me of that Marcus Aurelius quote where he talks about how he says something along the lines of how every man thinks most of himself, but he takes other people's opinions above his. I thought that was so interesting.
Mm,
It's like, we should be selfish about certain things and then
yeah.
selfless in others. It's fascinating. Dude, it's been a cool conversation. It honestly went places I didn't expect it to go, but it was very cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious, do you
Like
have, yeah, go ahead.
I feel like that's most of our conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Do you
just,
have
we
any,
just talk about like everything and nothing at the same time. We're just
yeah, that's a way to put it. That's a way to put it. It's kind of like a blip in a way.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to say but you didn't get a chance to, or something on your
Uh,
mind that you wanted to express?
Not really, man. No, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of still early in the morning for me. I mean, I know it's afternoon, so it's not morning at all, but just
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, but again, I really appreciate you being here, and doing this. Like, I'm glad we made it happen.
no, 100%. Yeah, me too. Under the circumstances that we did, I know we had this like postponed like so many times and everything too.
Yeah,
It was
that's
fun, man.
cool.
Glad we did it.
Definitely. And I was saying to someone, or I had written the other day that every conversation has a destiny. And so it's like, I don't know who's going to hear this. You don't know who's going to hear this, but maybe someone will benefit from something we've said. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. But yeah, I suppose until next time, huh, my friend? You take care.
All right, man. It's been great. You take
Been
care.
awesome. Thanks. You too.